You know, trying to override censorship is a motherfucker. I don't know what else to do. I'm not a computer guy, so it makes things difficult. But I had titled the previous video "Fuck Jesus," Masshole Edition, because I'm really, really worried about the way things are going with the Christian bullshit. It's going to be worse before it gets better, kind of thing. But just so many people are like the Jesus narrative is really being pushed. All the Project Esther's or Esther projects, all the Esther projects out there. I got to remember if it's Project Esther or Esther Project, because Project Esther is something different. It's Esther Project is what I'm talking about. But all these Esther projects out here are all pushing the same bunch of bullshit. And it's terrifying. It really is. What are you eating, dumbass? You just eating this. So, as much as I want to talk about Jesus, I mean, we were gifted today. Lindsey Graham's dead. That's a great thing. That is just a fucking fantastic thing. He is so awful. So awful. But, you know me, I always want to know what creates the problem. You know, not just surprisingly, we can't blame on friars, but that also makes sense as to why, you know, he was no longer useful at such a young age comparatively. 71. Now, that's just 2 years after his dad. So I really want to put this out. Like, this is, I wasn't expecting this, but Lindsey Olin Graham was born on July 9th, 1955, in Central South Carolina, where his parents, Millie Walters and Florence James F.J. Graham, ran a restaurant, bar, pool hall, liquor store, the Sanitary Cafe. His family was of Scots Irish descent. After graduating from D.W. Daniel High School, Graham became the first member of his family to attend college and joined the Army or the Reserve Officers Training Corps. He was 21 when his mother died of Hodgkin's lymphoma at age 52. So she was 30. Wait, she was 31 years old. When she had Lindsay. And his father died, and his mother died at age 52. And his father died 15 months later of a heart attack at age 69. So his father was 15 years older than his mother. I'd like to know when they got married. Because his then 13-year-old sister was left orphaned, the service allowed Graham to attend the University of South Carolina in Columbia so he could remain near home. As his sister's legal guardian during his studies, he became a member of the Pi Kappa Phi social fraternity. I'm, you know, it's really weird. It's really weird. His mother was 39 when she had his sister. I mean, I guess it's not, you know, the idea of a woman, you know, 31-year-old woman with having a baby to begin with. with her husband that was 46 years old. I mean, that's fucking crazy. But then to think, 7 years later, he's 50, what, 53? 53 years old and he's having another kid. So that's just weird. Now, granted, my wife and I were older than her when we had our first kid and our second kid. But definitely, I can't even imagine being. I mean, I'm 46 and I can't, or I'm 48 and I can't, 47, be 48. I can't imagine what it would be like to have a kid. My first kid last year, and then another kid at 53. That's just fucking strange. And these are owners. These aren't like, it's not like his family, it was a military family or some shit. These were bar owners that at 31, who decides that shit? At 31, let's have our kid. And 39, like, oops, let's have another one. His dad, 53 years old. What a weird fucking scenario. Graham helped raise his sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, after his parents' death, which occurred within 15 months of each other, leaving two without parents when Graham was 22 and she was 13. I thought he was 21. Well, 21 and then 23. Graham said that his parents' early deaths made him mature more quickly, and Nordone, who introduced her brother at the 2016 announcement of his candidacy for president, said she hoped to be with him on the campaign trail frequently to show voters his softer side. He's kind of like a brother, a father and mother, all rolled into one, she said. I've always looked up to Lindsey. Having never married or had children, Graham said, I never found time to meet the right girl or the girl who was smart enough to have time for me, or smart enough not to have time for me. Right girl, I never met the right girl, or the right girl was smart enough, or the right girl was smart enough to not have time for guys. According to his memoir, he had a girlfriend in law school named Debbie, and two more during his time in the Air Force in Germany, a JAG officer named Carol, who later served on Colin Powell's staff, and a flight attendant named Sylvia, to whom he considered proposing. Swear to God, I'm not gay. I had two girlfriends. Yeah, long. I want to know who these people are. He lived in Seneca, South Carolina, a Southern Baptist. He was a member of Seneca's Corinth Baptist Church. Graham died after a brief and sudden illness on the evening of July 11, 2026, 2 days after his 71st birthday. His father died at 69. The day before, on June 10th, Lindsey Graham paid an official visit to Kiev, Ukraine. Like, was he in Ukraine when he died? Because paying a visit to Ukraine isn't like you stopped off at the corner store. Ukraine is many hours of flight away from us. I don't know how many hours total, but I would assume it's a very, very long flight, considering we don't just fly over the top of the earth like would make sense. This was his 10th trip to Ukraine, during which he met with President Volodymyr Zelensky, Emergency medical services responded to a call at a home owned by Graham around 8:30 in the Capitol Hill section of Washington, D.C. So on July 10th, he went to Ukraine, paid a visit to Ukraine, and then flew back the same day, next day. What? Why? Doesn't that seem weird to anybody else? I mean, if you were here. In the Capitol, for a patient with chest pain, according to radio transmissions, personnel reported 25 minutes later that a male was in cardiac arrest and that CPR was underway. A nearby resident said that Graham was taken to George Washington University Hospital around 9:30 p.m. One of Graham's staffers said there had been no indication that he was ill before his death. So it wasn't an illness. It was a heart attack? Like it sounds like if he's in cardiac arrest, they reported a heart attack, and then he was in cardiac arrest. Like, why are they reporting it as a sudden illness? A brief and sudden illness. What? Upon the news of Graham's death, Trump called Graham a true American patriot. U.S. Senate Majority Leader John Thune described him as a strong advocate for the United States. Senator Tim Scott offered prayers for Graham's family. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster said Graham was the fiercest of fighters for South Carolina and America. Man, they all say the same dumb shit. Like completely generic, staged dumb shit. Like, what the fuck? Not one of them was like, oh, he was a great person. He was the nicest guy. He would help. What? Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, who offered her condolences to Graham's family and described him as a determined and fearless leader. This is so fucking cheesy. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, released a statement offering his condolences, saying, America and the world have lost a resolute leader. I mean, this is like 6 people, not one of which has said anything about him as a person. Just they keep talking about, cookie cutter stereotype. What the fuck? I swear he could arm wrestle really well. Mark Rutte, Secretary General of NATO, said Graham was a powerful advocate for America. What is going on? It's like they're like, all right, you get 5 words, 6 words, 7 words. Throw the dart. You pick which things you're gonna. Man, everybody keeps hitting, powerful advocate for America. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said he was, quote, a true friend and partner of Germany in the transatlantic alliance. So not actually talking about what a friend he was, but more that he was a friend to Germany and a strong partner. Benjamin douchebag, bitch-ass, piece of shit Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, said that Israel has lost one of its greatest friends. America has lost a great patriot. And I have lost a beloved friend. And offered his condolences to Graham's family and the American people. Nobody is asking questions here. We're all just going to let this one die like it's no big deal. How long does it take to, let's see. How long does it take to fly from Washington, D.C. to Ukraine?
The flight from Washington, D.C. to Ukraine usually takes between 14 and 18 hours, and all routes require at least one layover because there are no direct flights.
So, he paid a visit to Ukraine on July 10th. Zelensky, after flying 14 to 18 hours off the layover, so who knows how long the layover is. I mean, even if you're military, you know, I would assume government agency still has to take a stop. Flew for 14 to 18 hours to go visit with Zelensky, and then hopped right back on a plane for another 14 to 18 hours. And this was after his birthday, right? And it suddenly says, Lindsey Graham, July 9th, did not match any results. When I got to page 5, there's no results, no news from July 9th regarding Lindsey Graham. So I just put Lindsey Graham in, and now I'm just going back as far as I can. I'm on page 8, and it's still just all from hours ago. $16, still 6 hours ago. $18, still 6 hours ago. Every single person is talking about it. Every news agency possible is talking about this. Kiev Post. Wasn't his birthday? It said he died 2 days after his birthday. So his birthday was on July 9th. So on his birthday, he was flying to Kiev? Oh, wait. It just jumped. Kiev Post. Make no mistake. A huge mistake not to cooperate. Senator Graham tours Ukraine. And then the next news talking about him was from a week earlier. So the Kiev Post, in brief, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham toured the production facility of Skyfall, a leading Ukrainian defense technology company. Graham observed the man. So when did he fly to Ukraine? Because on the 10th, he was taking a tour of the facility. Right? Isn't that what it's saying? Graham observed the manufacturing of advanced unmanned systems, including Vampire bomber drones, Shrike FPVs, and Shahed interceptors. The senator highly praised Ukraine's rapid advancements in drone warfare, noting that the technologies produced are some of the most advanced globally. Graham emphasized that it would be a huge mistake for the U.S. not to forge a strong technological partnership with Ukraine in the field of defense innovation. As part of his visit to Ukraine, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham visited one of the production locations of the Ukrainian defense technology company, Skyfall. It's saying that he went there, like it was saying that he went to Kiev on the 11th. So he, landed there and jumped right off the plane and went and toured the facility and then jumped back on the plane to get home. I'm confused. This timeline doesn't make any sense. The senator familiarized himself with the development of and manufacturing process of the heavy bomber drones Vampire, also known as Baba Yaga, first-person view FPV drones of various modifications, and Shahed interceptors PS Sun. The Skyfall team also presented new technological solutions that will soon appear on the battlefield. Separately, the senator was presented with the capabilities of the Skyfall Academy, which trains pilots, technicians, and instructors to work the unmanned systems. The parties discussed the prospects of Ukrainian-American cooperation in the field of defense innovations and possible directions for a technological partnership. Commenting to journalists on the results of his visit to Ukraine, Graham highly praised the level of Ukrainian drone technology. According to the senator, it would be a huge mistake for the U.S. not to develop cooperation with Ukraine in this area. I believe that it would be a huge mistake for America not to cooperate with Ukraine in the field of drones. They are ready to help us because we were ready to support Ukraine in the hardest times. I visited a state-of-the-art enterprise that had huge capabilities of producing technologies far more advanced than anyone on the planet. After all, necessity is the mother of all inventions, Graham noted. This is him taking a picture with the drone bomb thing. Skyfall is a Ukrainian technologies defense company that unites a large R&D center, scalable production lines, and a certified Skyfall Academy for training pilots, instructors, and technicians. Skyfall develops and manufactures the legendary Vampire drone, a bomber dubbed Baba Yaga by the enemy, which has become the foundation of the unmanned power of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFU. The company also produces Shriek FPV drones, P1 Sun Shahed interceptors, communication systems and components, high-tech engineering solutions that work effectively on the front line. Thanks to Skyfall drones, Ukrainian defenders have already destroyed enemy personnel and equipment worth tens of billions of dollars. This is fucking crazy. I don't know who liked my video but isn't here, but thank you. That's the Kiev Post. Okay, so wait. Had to get to page 25 before we got... Okay, so the first company to report it was I-24 News. I-24 News. According to a statement from his office, Senator Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. This was on July 12th, 2026 at 2:17 a.m. So when did he travel? I'm so confused by this. Their story just isn't making any sense here. If you're watching this, whoever you are, I'm assuming it's like Algo or Matt or something, please share it, because this is fucking huge. Then there's something here that doesn't. It takes 14 to 18 hours. Now I got 3 people watching. If all 3 of you share it, this might actually stand a chance. There's something not right about this Lindsey Graham situation. So I put Lindsey Graham into the Google machine, and then I went to the news part. I went to the news tab, and then I clicked sort by date. And I wanted to find any information on July 9th about Lindsey Graham. And the only thing I can find is just the newest articles date back to 7 hours ago. And then there's one article that I just got done reading from the Kiev Post from yesterday at some time. I'm not really even sure when it was supposed to have happened. But then the next article talking about him was from over a week ago. Nobody was talking about Lindsey Graham for an entire week in the news cycle. That just seems odd. And if you read what the official narrative says, it says that he died of a brief and sudden illness. But when you read what they responded to and a heart attack, they were responding to a man in cardiac arrest or a man with chest pains. Then they reported that that man cardiac arrest and that CPR and whatnot wasn't working, and then they said he died. So that wasn't a brief and sudden illness by any means. Long Island Medium conference with Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Teresa Caputo. That's not what shows up when you search Lindsey Graham, and then you do it by date. So it gives you, but it took me getting to page 24, well, actually 25. Page 25 before I got to the Kiev one. And then prior to that, this was the first article to confirm he's dead. So U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away at the age of 71. A statement from his office confirmed the death, saying that the senator suffered from a brief and sudden illness. It went on to say that the family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this period. You don't get privacy when you're a public figure like that, and your shit is fucking weird. We don't give you privacy. You worked your whole life to not have privacy. You worked your whole life to be in the news as much as possible. This isn't right. According to audio from police scanners obtained by NBC. How did this all happen so quickly? I mean, I don't get it. How did they have the police scanner information immediately? Think about all the other stories you hear about somebody dying and how long it takes for the evidence to be collected or whatever. This is saying NBC. This is the first report issued at 2 a.m. Says he died at 9:30, I believe, p.m. the night before. So just about 5 hours later, NBC already has the police scanner information? What? Obtained. Emergency personnel responded to a call for cardiac arrest at Graham's home in Washington Saturday night. Again, when did he take the 14 to 18 hour flight from Kiev home? He was touring Kiev on the 11th, according to them. And I can't imagine that the tour of the facility took place at fucking 6 in the morning or some shit. When did the tour take place? Now we're just going to jump to Graham was seen as a staple of American political life for over 30 years. You know, all those Trump likes those lifelong politicians, right? He first entered politics 92, blah, blah, blah. The senator heavily involved in both, blah, 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 blah. Heavily involved in both American and domestic foreign policy until the very end, having met with U.S. President, or Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev just last week. Wait, what? That's not what it says. Former Air Force lawyer, Graham has been pivotal in boosting U.S. defense aid to Ukraine. Several politicians, both in the U.S. and outside, have already offered their condolences and the truth. One of the greatest people and senators I've ever known. He went on to say that Graham was always working and a truth American patriot. That's the quote. Nevertheless, the late Senator Graham's did not always have the best. The late Senator Graham's, with an apostrophe S, did not always have the best relationship with President Trump during Trump's first election campaign in 2015. Graham called Trump xenophobic and a race baiter. Must have been talking about something to do with Israel. Israel. He always said Israel. As far as Israel goes, I'm always going to be a staunch advocate of Israel. Israel. Graham was also a fierce ally of Israel and its fight against Iran and its proxies. Israeli politicians like National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir are already offering their condolences. In a post on X, Ben-Gvir wrote that Israel had lost one of its greatest friends and said Senator Graham stood with Israel, not because it was easy, but because he believed it was right. So nothing about how great he was, but that, you know, bring it back to Israel, how great Israel is. I mean, this is just fucking goofy. This is fucking goofy. And the thing is, you know, it's none of this is about Graham's work on this, that it's immediately about Israel. We're not talking about what China has to say, what you know, Zimbabwe has to say, what Canada has to say, what the UK has to say. Immediately, it's all about connecting it to Israel. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett also wrote about Senator Graham on X. Bennett wrote, America lost a devoted patriot, and Israel has lost one of its greatest friends, Friedns. Graham was up for re-election during the November midterms this year. Happy Sunday in Palestine. It was a tough week, but you made it. Take a moment to celebrate how far you come. Get ready for recharge this summer. Your goals are waiting for you. What can you do about it? That thing has 10 dislikes. Loss. The death of Lindsey Graham is a big loss for the government and Netanyahu. This has nothing but mine is the first like on it. And now one of the most trusted partner when it comes to my grand important. Load more. Lindsey Graham is the law. Look at all these negative comments. All these, it's so funny. I'd like to know when, what time were those messages from Israel made? Because none of the narrative so far makes any sense. Just like supporting the pedophilia capital of the world, Israel. From Mishnah 5:4 to metzitzia. This isn't gonna stick. Metzitzia Bapay and soul correction. The Jews are the worst people on earth. And cancer needs to be eliminated. Oh, I have to create an account. Of course. Oh, now I have to go past page 25. There's so many more of these stories. I'm back up. Morning. So the Kiev Post was made at 4:32 p.m. I don't know if that's Kiev time or that's... It doesn't... Either way, it doesn't make any sense. When did this trip take place? They said he flew, he made a brief visit to Kiev on the 11th. When did all this take place? The next most recent story is Graham's statement on Supreme Court's decision to uphold birthright citizenship. This was made on June 30th, 2026. There's this article. So at some point, he flew to Ukraine, but they were saying he made the visit the same day that he died. This is just strange. Trump versus Barbara. For years, I've been pushing legalization and a constitutional amendment to change the United States policy on birthright citizenship. While I'm disappointed in the court's decision regarding birthright citizenship, I am determined more than ever to put an end to this major magnet for illegal immigration and birth tourism. The biggest issue is definitely the people that come here and not our association with the biggest, terrorist in the world. No, Israel. What's up, Matt? This Lindsey Graham shit isn't making any sense. The timeline we were being given just doesn't make any sense. The idea that he was somehow in Kiev yesterday touring a facility and then died at his home in Washington, D.C. by 9:30 p.m. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It says that this article was posted by the Kiev Post on July 11th, 2026 at 4:32 p.m. And it talks about how the senator toured the production facility of Skyfall that day, earlier that day. So when did he make that 14 to 18 hour flight from Ukraine back to the United States? I mean, even if it's a 12-hour flight and he died at 9:30 p.m., that wouldn't mean he would have had to leave Kiev at 12 or at 9:30 a.m. That's 12 hours. When did he do the touring of the facility? If the earliest he would have had to have left to be home by 9:30, and that's if the plane lands and he's home, 14 hours. So that would have been 7 a.m. that he was flying out, and 18 hours, that's 3 in the morning. So when did he fly out? When did he fly to Kiev? The way the report made it sound is that he had made a brief visit to Kiev yesterday. He flew there, did this tour, and then I guess flew home. I don't know when the fuck did he fly home? Make this make sense, man. Hanging out with Zelensky. And then again, it's the official narrative is that he had a brief and sudden illness. But when you read it, they responded to a man having a heart attack. When they got there, they reported that he was in cardiac arrest and he died. Why aren't they reporting it as a heart attack? Why are they saying he had a brief and sudden illness? What sense does that make? It's like they didn't bother to get all the details straight before they released the story. I mean, the first story announcing his death with whatever that newspaper was is full of a bunch of fucking spelling errors and shit like that. What? What are we talking about? And that paper released the story at 2:14 a.m. saying that they had already had they had the recordings of the police scanners, and according to the police, NBC had obtained the police scanner transmissions. What? Being a deviant like Lindsey and lifetime Melanie was dead, party, celebration, and joy. I agree. He is a motherfucker. He was the worst. And if you agree, please share this feed. The censorship on this feed is just outrageous at this point. But there's something going on with this Lindsey Graham death. I'm not like looking at it like, oh, poor, I'm is fucking celebrating. I just think it's weird. What bullshit narrative are they pulling over on us? How the fuck was this man in Ukraine and the United States basically on the same day? What flight was he on? When did this all, like, it just doesn't make sense. He would have had to fly out at 9 in the morning just to make it a 12. And we're talking about flying and landing. The flight takes 14 to 18 hours. I'm assuming that governments have faster flying planes, but I don't fucking know. Israel lost one of its greatest allies, the article said. Yeah, of course. That's what you're seeing. On every article talking about it, they talk about, it immediately talks about Israel. Israel. If you look up his Wikipedia page, all of the quotes that they use from the Trump and then a few random people in government, and then they have the quotes from Netanyahu, which everybody's saying he was a powerful advocate for America. He was a true patriot. Nobody mentions anything about what a good person he was. Not one fucking person. Nope, I haven't seen a single, some say he's a great friend. Netanyahu called him a great friend. But nobody, not a single person mentions what a decent person he was, how he helped them, or anything. It's all about he was a great American. He was a great American patriot. It's really fucking strange. I mean, he hasn't even been dead 12 hours, and the Wikipedia page is all updated with quote. Like, it's all, how did it all happen so fast? And this article talks about how he toured with the facility and all that shit. And the article was released at 4:32 p.m. Here's a picture of him in Ukraine holding something used to kill people. Yay, look how happy he is. Little fucking weasel. This whole thing is fucked up, man. This whole thing is really fucked up. Something's not right. The last article that while he was still alive about him is out of Kiev. And it's all about Kiev's, superior. They have the Skyfall is a Ukrainian technology defense company, manufactures legendary vampire drones, first-person view drones, and Shahed interceptors, and like, it's weird. The senator highly praised Ukraine's rapid advancements in drone warfare. He's dead, something's very right. I agree. That is why they need us to be stupid and ignorant, otherwise we'll connect too many dots. Right. Something's going on here. No, there was not a single news article about him for a week prior to. The next most recent article was from January 30th. Lindsey Graham was out of the news cycle for 11 fucking days. In what world does that make sense? It's just strange. Lindsey Graham's out of the news cycle for 11 days. And then the first article about him that pops up is out of Kiev. And it's just one article where they talk about how great his visit was, that he's touring with Zelensky, blah, blah, blah. The article is released at 4:32 p.m. It doesn't say whether it's Kiev time or Eastern time, but I can't imagine Kiev is dropping articles at 4:30 p.m. I mean, what, on a Sunday? That doesn't seem to make any sense. The Kiev Post is dropping articles at 4:30 p.m. on a Sunday? No, it's probably morning time in Kiev. And then the next article that's about him is the announcement of his death at 2:14 p.m. Wow, does that sound fishy as hell? Remember, his dad was 15 years older than his mom. And she had him when she was 31 and had his sister when she was 39. His dad was 46 and 52. What? Or 53? What fucking sense are we talking about here? 53-year-old man's having kids? His dad's name was Florence, and he thought, he hated his name so much, people called him FJ, Florence James, they called him FJ. And then he named his kid Lindsey? What a horrible asshole he must have been. The next article, so we have the grahamsenate.gov article. So that was actually his page, which happens to have a very Islamic symbol on it. Wow, that's weird as shit. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but can you see this symbol here? It's a palm tree with a crescent moon. This is the Graham's Senate. This is the Lindsey Graham. Oh, that must be the North Carolina. Isn't that strange that would be North Carolina's symbol, is that Islamic shit? The next article about him is from USA Today from 3 weeks ago. Lindsey Graham, obliterate Iran if there's Strait of Hormuz resistance. This warmongering monster. Obliterate Iran. Like, it's not full of fucking people. Children. You know? People completely innocent of anything. And anyone in the Iranian military is just as innocent. They're no more guilty than our American soldiers who were tricked into fighting for their side's bullshit. Allowed to say no, I don't want that. Three weeks ago, tons of articles from 3 weeks ago. That seems more like it. Lindsey Graham being in the fucking news consistently. Now let's go back to page 25, but it's going to be a whole bunch I got to go through. So many articles. It's just rapid fire coming out. Everybody that could possibly be talking about this. American soldiers not as innocent. U.S. is evil empire. Fuck yeah. I mean, but again, I'm saying from the everyday person's perspective, everyday people don't think of American soldiers as criminals, as murderers. They're just dumb kids that got tricked into doing their job. Really fucking with the feed now. And that's the land I live in has God on its side. What? Oh no. U.S. people never wanted and didn't vote for this worldwide genocide. What's up, Augo? Celebration day, don't you think? How many fucking videos have I made about Lindsey Graham? How many times have I talked about that fucking piece of shit? But something isn't right. Something just isn't right. Oh, wait, now a new article popped up from a day before. Influential Senator Lindsey Graham, a closer ally, dies after brief and sudden illness. This one is... When is this one from? This is from 7:14 a.m. Yeah, this isn't... I don't know why this one is showing up before the one from a day ago. But something isn't right here. Something is very, very wrong. Just like somebody having 3 watchers and three likes. Something isn't right here. I don't, at the very least, how was Lindsey Graham in Kiev touring a facility yesterday and died at home around 9:30 p.m.? Make it make sense. And they keep saying he died of a brief and sudden illness. Dude had a fucking heart attack. Sprinkle it with some conspiracy when the options that you're selling seem unfair to me. Are we really free? Or are we here for feed? Occam's razor cuts deeper than your weird beliefs. Senator Lindsey Graham, one of President Donald Trump's closest allies in Congress who traveled the globe to advocate for more aggressive U.S. foreign policy, has died after a brief and sudden illness. His office said he was 71. Makes perfect sense. You are correct, sir. Was this a warning? Was this like, hey, look, we'll take out Graham. You better do what we say, Israel says, I just want to know, like, I have all the conspiracy thoughts in the world, obviously. But I just want to know the official narrative. I want to know how somebody explains him being in Ukraine, touring a facility, and then dying in his home, which is a 14 to 18 hour flight. That's not including travel time. That's not including the layover time, because that flight always has to have a layover. So how long was he on layover? Where? I want to know more about this. A statement posted on social media early Sunday said his family appreciates a difficult period and they want some privacy. It did not provide any additional details about the circumstances surrounding the Saturday night death of South Carolina Republican, a former Air Force lawyer who served in Congress for 3 decades. I mean, all these stories are just so cookie cutter. Trump said Graham was like a member of the family. It's very tough, the president said. Oh, so now we're getting these more personal statements. The president said Graham called him on Saturday night after returning from a trip to Ukraine. He sounded a little bit tired, but perfect. So wait. So now he had enough time to call Trump? I mean, the way they said it, they said that he took a visit to Ukraine on the 11th. The way they said it made it sound like he got there on the 11th and then toured the facility. Just died suddenly, right. Maybe the stopped his heart. Well, I can't imagine he actually had the poke. Come on, none of those guys actually did it. A noted hawk, meaning a warmonger, Graham was one of the most influential figures in Washington on foreign affairs, such as the Iran war in Russia. On Friday, Graham had announced an agreement with the Trump administration to move forward on a package of Russian sanctions. As chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, how many jobs does this dude have? Why don't these important government jobs have one dude who is dedicated to that one position? Like, can you imagine being like, oh yeah, I'm the fry cook, I'm the I'm the cash register, I'm the maintenance guy at the restaurant. I do all the jobs all at once. It just wouldn't make sense. Maybe he was poisoned in Ukraine. Yeah, but they can't have that narrative come out because that would make Ukraine look bad. And we can't let them Ukraine look bad. You couldn't take it anymore, huh? Yeah, I hear you. As chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, Graham had a central role during Trump's second term as Republicans pushed major legislation on party votes while holding a narrow 53-47 majority in the chamber. And since they all basically vote with their party, like, how does that even begin to make sense? Maybe he knew more than he was allowed to. Well, the thing about him that can't be denied is that he wasn't a friar, which makes him disposable. And what we'll see in the next day or two how they use this. Will they say it was Russia that poisoned him? A Palestinian somehow poisoned him, something like that. All these different things are definitely questions worth asking, but let's attack something a lot easier, right? Something with less conspiracy, at least on the surface, which is, how was he in Ukraine and then home with enough time to call Trump, and then he died? When did the Trump phone call take place? I'd really like to know what time that was. Trump was watching UFC last night. I would assume Trump was at the UFC last night, wasn't he? And if he was at the UFC, he wasn't taking fucking phone calls from his buddy Lindsey. I made it home. Even then, why would Trump be getting a phone call from Lindsey Graham that he made it home safe? I made it home safe, Daddy. Don't worry. I'll be waiting for you. Under South Carolina law, Representative Governor Henry appointed temporary replacement for Graham, who was seeking fifth term in November. Graham was close with Trump. That's funny. Graham elected to Senate in 2002 after serving as House, long promoted a policy of robust U.S. military interventionism and strong defense. In the later years, would put him at odds with the growing isolationist wing of his party. Over time, Graham became well known for his close ties with Trump, whom the senator briefly ran against for the presidential nomination in 2016. Said some really awful things about him. Let's let the pins fall maybe down his. I'm hoping Israel, makes a fucking, makes an example out of Trump. I've been hoping for that one for a long time. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe this was Israel interceding and poisoning or doing whatever as a message to Trump. Like, what are you doing? Lindsey Graham's dead.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
thank goodness. How did he die?
a mysterious and brief illness.
Oh,
Even though it was a heart attack, they're calling it a mysterious or a brief and sudden illness.
so can Mitch McConnell go now too?
Mitch has been dead.
And Donald
It's funny, everybody's saying the same shit.
and JD. You just take that whole crew.
Yeah, but see, where do you go? Like, which one? So JD is replaced by the Speaker of the House, if he were to go. So who would that be?
I don't know who that is.
And JD is young, so that means he's going to be used for a long time.
What?
There it goes. Graham had just been in Ukraine to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky, who said that the senator visited the country 10 times during his years since Russia invaded in 2022. Lindsey has been a true defender of freedom and the values that make our world safer. Typical Friar statement. Graham's travels made him a familiar face. Dozens of world leaders, and Prime Minister, dickhead douchebag Netanyahu, said Graham understood that the security of Israel and the United States was inseparable. Israel has lost one of its greatest friends. America has lost a great patriot. I have lost a beloved friend. I betcha. Lindsey was at all the fucking foreskin dinners. Lindsey Graham was such a little goofy. Graham led both the Senate Budget and Judiciary Committees. See, that's what I mean. Like, that shouldn't exist. I don't know. I just have zero sympathy for these pieces of shit. They're just such awful pieces of shit. They're awful human beings. They don't give a fuck about me. They couldn't care less if I died. They couldn't care less if my family's struggling, if my car doesn't want to start. This is just crazy. He was absent without explanation for months before recently returning to Congress and disclosing he had been diagnosed with depression. Mitch McConnell, a former longtime Republican leader, was hospitalized a few weeks ago for undisclosed health reasons. Who are these? This isn't fair. You don't get to, you don't make your life our lives. You don't make yourself into that position to where your moves are public, and you want to be that way. You don't get into that acting job to be unnoticed. You don't get to then be like, oh, well, now I have some tough stuff, so leave me alone. Fuck that. We deserve to know who's running our country and what's going on. I say that in jest because we have no idea who's actually running the show. It's the deep state. The deep state that exists for everybody else, but not when Donald comes in. Why not? Is it because Donald's part of that deep state? It's all fucking crazy. Anyway, I've been on much longer than I wanted to be. This shit's ridiculous. The censorship is just ridiculous anymore. And so, I bid you all a fond adieu. Have yourselves a great day, and you pedophiles, you kill yourself.